be no happiness, no joy, no anger, no emotion whatsoever displayed in the courtroom. However, I do not believe the judge would have held them in contempt had they hugged each other or had they smiled. But you're right, Dana. Not a smile, not a hug, nothing. They got up, very stern-faced, turned around, and walked out. Before everybody else even started walking out, you're right, Dana. They got up and walked out. With me is Matt Zarrell. Matt, you've been on the case from the very beginning. What's your response to the verdict?
Nancy, I'm shocked, but I think one thing to look at is that we have to line it up. We have to look at the forensic evidence. The forensic evidence was from both sides was very confusing. Then what happens is there's no DNA at the scene connecting Casey Anthony to the crime. So you look at those two things, you look at no cause of death. It is difficult for the jury probably to connect her directly without any direct forensic evidence there.
Out to Mike Galanos. Mike, thanks for being with us. I want to hear your reaction to the jury.
Yeah, Nancy, I'm stunned. That is the word, and I can't think of another one. It's like I've been kicked in the gut. Jose Baez said it. Casey Anthony did not murder Kaylee. My question is, then who did? Right. Everything I heard, I'm looking over my stack of notes. I've been covering this case like you have for 3+ years. Who did? And I'm not sure we're going to be analyzing. I can't wait to hear from that jury, Nancy.
You know, Mike, you and I have known each other a long time, and we've talked about this case many, many times. I'm talking about off air, talking about the Anthony family, what they've been through, talking about little Kelly, the facts and the evidence in this case. There is no way that this is a verdict that speaks the truth. Now, having tried so many cases and watched so many cases, I know, and I take that as part of our jury system, that this is a part of our system. But it's tough to swallow, right? It's tough when you think about Kelly and you think about this evidence and you think about all those days Tot Mom carried on partying, lying, as if Kelly had never existed. And today in a court of law, that's what the jury said, Mike.
And that's the question. And I think Matt kind of hit it. Where did they find reasonable doubt? Somewhere in there. And that's what Jose Baez's plan all along. Throw it all at the jury and pretty much tell them, you got to find some reasonable doubt somewhere. I guess they did, Nancy.
Let's go back to Dr. Drew. What will happen now, Dr. Drew, if Tot Mom moves back in with her parents?
Yeah, that's a great...
I mean, obviously she's not going to get a job. I guess she could get a big fat book deal or make a made-for-TV movie. That might tide her over for a little while, but my guess on her, she'll run right through it. So then what happens? Does she move back in with her parents?
Yeah, this is a great question. It's something I'm going to be looking into for the next probably couple of weeks, is what does this family do next? Are George and Cindy going to allow her to come back into their lives after having been thrown under the bus in this fashion? Is she going to be able to repair their relationships? I don't see how they can even live in the same household given what has gone on here. And you're right. One of the most sort of nauseating aspects of this case is that she probably is going to gain financially as a result. I will watch with great fascination how this plays out. But that relationship, particularly amongst the three of them, amongst Cindy, George, and Casey, it's hard to imagine those relationships are going to survive intact. I just don't see how it can be. Put yourself, anyone listening out there watching, put yourself in this position, what you've just been through. It's possible that Cindy and George could be perhaps more tightly wound together as a result of this. It didn't look like that. I just think this is a family that is shattered and is going to remain shattered, and that's a horrible thing to watch. And by the way, no matter what Casey is guilty of, it's her vortex of behavior that's created all of this, that has sucked everyone into it, that has affected all the ancillary personalities involved in this case, whether she actually killed somebody or not. The vortex that she has created and the profound, profound negative influence on countless lives, that is all hers.
I I noticed that Lee Anthony not in the courtroom today. Alan, we're talking about what happens now. Remember, top mom Casey Anthony, in a bid to save her own skin, says her father sexually molested her for years as a young girl, often forcing her into oral sex, then sending her off, packing her off on the school bus to go to school as if nothing happened. Similar allegations made against brother Lee. So where do they go from here? Joining me right now, Jean Casares. Jean, reaction.
You know, to say I was stunned, maybe yes, maybe no, because you never know what a jury is going to do. When I look at the evidence, though, and I watched in that courtroom myself, and I realized the prosecution putting on computer evidence, putting on pictures of partying, no matter what happened to her daughter, she went on with her life. But the only criminal responsibility that this jury says Casey Anthony exhibited beyond a reasonable doubt were those lies. That's it.
You know, Jean, I noticed that